You've been in the Philippines for a really long time, right?
Yeah, 16 years.
16 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
2009, I moved here.
Where are you from originally?
From the UK, I'm British.
So did you spend the whole time since 2009 in Manila?
Yeah, in Manila. I mean, obviously, I've traveled fairly extensively, but yeah, this has been my home since 2009. Like, I was back in the UK last week, and like, I feel like when the planes land in there, I feel like, okay, that's me, I'm on vacation. When the planes land in Manila, I'm like, that's me, I'm back home.
And so what makes the Philippines different, like in comparison to maybe even other countries in Southeast Asia like Thailand?
The first big one is the language. The fact that it's an English speaking country just makes all the difference. When you go to the Philippines and they speak English, it just makes it so much easier. So that would be the first big difference. The second, I guess, would just be the way of life here compared to say the West, for example. Like, you have maids here, you have drivers here, things that you just don't have back in the West. The population, how dense it is as well. Also how quickly it's grown since I've got here. Like, I moved here at just the right time, and the growth I've seen has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, when I first moved here, BGC was, I mean, there was a couple of big buildings there. There wasn't really that much. Now it's this huge sprawling metropolis. So it's the growth. Like, what I would say compared to the UK is, sadly, and I'm very proud to be British, but I believe that the UK is moving in the wrong direction. It's actually going backwards. Whereas the Philippines, in many ways, it feels like it's actually moving forwards. There's that trajectory and just that feel that, yeah, I'm in the right place, and this is a country that's going by and large, going in the right direction. Compared to places in Asia, I think Filipino are by far the nicest and friendliest people compared, and welcoming compared to anywhere else in Asia.
My first connection to the Philippines was when I was about 17, 18, and I was working at a grocery store here in Canada. And I met some Filipino people there, like my coworkers and stuff. I noticed that, like, those kind of what we would call a dead end job can attract a certain type of person in Canada that really kind of hates their life a little bit. Maybe it doesn't attract them, but maybe people, they end up there and they're just like, I hate going to work
just
every
going
day.
through the motions. Yeah,
they're kind of down. I would work with Filipino people that were working the same shift as everybody else, like a full-time job. And then after work, they were going to a different job and starting another shift over there. And they were never upset. They were never complaining about their day or their workload. They were happier than everyone else, and a lot of times working twice the hours.
100%. And that group of Filipinos that you just described, for me, they're my favorite Filipinos, if you will. They're the people that I think are the best representation of this country, and that's the OFWs. The Philippines' number one export is people. They export over 15 million people abroad in North America, like you said, in Canada and the US. The Middle East, if you go to Dubai or Saudi Arabia or any of these places, it's always 7% of the population of the UAE is Filipino. And if it's any roles that are facing the public, like, working in hospitality, for example, or retail, it's always Filipinos. And I don't think there's anyone better in the world than Filipinos, because, like you said, if you're working a job at a supermarket or a store or whatever back home, like, people are just like, yeah, whatever, like, they don't really care. Filipinos actually take a pride in it. They're grateful for the job, and they work really hard, and they have a really positive attitude. And of course, they're working hard so that they can send money back home to their family, which I have the greatest respect for. And the OFWs, the sacrifice they make by working abroad and sending that money back, that money has done so much for this country. And OFWs, they really don't get the credit that they deserve, I feel. So whenever I'm in Dubai, just for example, and one thing I always do is I just take time to talk, where's your province? How often do you go back? And it kind of like, thank you for your service, just to let them know that you are appreciated. But that attitude towards work that you see from the OFWs, you also see that in the BPOs. There's a reason the Philippines is the call center capital of the world now. When the call center started coming to the Philippines at the turn of the 21st century, these Filipinos, like, they're working really hard. Like, they take a pride in what they're doing. They're actually committed to the job. They've got families to feed, and the talent of the workforce here is just so much better. People talk about, the outsourced jobs to the Philippines because it's cheaper. Yeah, of course, that's is a massive part of it. But it's not just the cost. It's also the quality. The quality of the Filipino workers is way better than the UK or the US or Canada when it does come to call centers. And a lot of Filipinos, if they were in training for call centers, they'll watch like episodes of Friends just to sound even more American and be more neutralized. And that work ethic from the OFWs and from the BPOs is what has by and large built this country in the 21st century. And the Filipinos, that they're just amazing workers. And not just that, but even more than that, is they are a real net positive to whatever country they're in.